CPA and economist known as America's accountant, buddy of ours, Dan Geltrude. Dan, welcome back to the program. This JoeFlation, let me just straight up ask you, will we see an end to it anytime soon, or should we just hunker down and prepare to buy less stuff? Because it appears to me everything is going up.
Everything is going up, Dan, and whether it'll go away quickly, that's not how inflation works. So let's look at the situation that we're in. Right now, we have a very easy money policy coming out of Washington, and that's creating this spending craze. So now we're on a sugar high, right? And that sugar high is going to come to an end at some point, meaning what? That money will get cut off at some period of time. However, inflation is not going to roll back so easy. So what ends up happening? At some point, people have less money and stuff is more expensive. So who wins? No one. Who loses? Everyone.
Yeah. I mean, and this goes back to the lockdown. And I know we're talking economy and numbers with you, Dan, but let's go back last year and look at what the overzealous, overreaching, all-powerful governors did by closing all these states down, some still closed today, and not allowing factories and people to get back to work in those factories to produce things. So we have shortages of all kinds of stuff, and not just in our country. I heard like the auto industry taking a huge hit because a lot of the computer chips created over in China and elsewhere, and they were shut down. So you have shortages of product. You have people don't go back to work, put it together, and then with this president spending like it grows on trees, it's a recipe for disaster.
It certainly is. And what we have right now is a government-centric economy. In other words, fancy way of saying socialism, right? Because when the economy is controlled by the government, that's a socialist economic policy. That's really the last thing we need. I have been saying for a while, Dan, in order to come out of this situation caused by, quote unquote, the pandemic, which was really, yes, pandemic was there, but it was policy that really put salt in the wound. Okay, so what we need to do is have the government just get the heck out of the way. If they do that, and actually allow a capitalist market to come back, things will get better. Not overnight, but much more quickly than the policies we're implementing right now, because those things are going to keep us in the hole for quite some time.
And Dan, let's talk about what those things are, because we know under President Trump, being a businessman, he was moving for those and pushing for those months and months before he left office. He was telling those governors to reopen. He was telling those factories and whatnot to reopen, get people back to work. He was telling the states to stop the extra cash from the unemployment so that they would be forced to go back to work instead of sitting at home collecting unemployment. That's what's led to this. And with this administration continuing those bad policies, it's going to take longer and longer. Look at how Florida is thriving because you have a governor that reopened, put people back to work, right? Said no more cash is coming your way. Go get a job. And let's talk about the jobs report. Dan, I see, what was it? 9.3. Last month, I remember saying it was 8 point something. 9.3 million jobs out there in the same month that how many hundreds of thousands walked off the job, actually quit and said they're not going back because they could make more sitting at home. These are crazy numbers.
They really are. And you know what bothers me most of all of this is when we hear the administration use the term job creation. Dan, I'm telling you right now, you know what the job creation number was? 0. That's actually the job creation number. We're talking about job restoration. We're just having people go back to the jobs they had before all of this started.
Right.
So there's actually no new jobs being created. Now, when you think about it that way, you start to say, well, these accomplishments that are being touted, they're really not accomplishments at all. And many of those jobs that are being restored, they are concentrated in a specific area. Restaurants, travel, entertainment It's not like we're seeing them being created, quote unquote, in other areas. And I'm not saying we don't need those jobs restored, but we need jobs restored all over the place, like in manufacturing, because we need the supply chain back up and running, or we never get out of inflation. Never, Dan.
Ugh. All right, Dan, they're wrapping me up, but look, 10, 20 seconds. I don't like ending on a bad note, but I also like being factual and real with my viewers. So with JoeFlation, this is going to last a while, right? We're not coming out of this in 3, 4, 5, 6 months.
We are not going to come out of this, Dan, until policies change. End of story.
All right. Dan Geltrude, America's Accountant, thanks for coming on and just keeping it real, letting them know where we stand. You take care.
Thanks, Dan.